How are you?
I'm really good. Thanks for reaching out to me.
No problem. Do
Yeah.
you regularly do any kind of promotion or talk with anybody in the United States?
No, not in the United States. I'm mostly like New Zealand and Australia.
I'm going to
I'm,
turn
I'm
you
a
up
Kiwi.
just a little bit. Now you're like 100%. Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm mostly New Zealand and Australia, so I live in Australia. I'm a Kiwi.
That's
So,
great. That's wonderful. Well, welcome to Make Your Own Fun. My name is Eric, and I am with Monique Vette, if I'm pronouncing that right.
it's actually Vetty.
So totally not. Because
Yeah, a lot.
that's a great start.
It's fine. So many people get it wrong because of the spelling of Corvette.
Ah,
So
gotcha. Okay.
yeah, it's fine.
So, how long have you been involved in the field that you're specializing in here? I'll kind of let you kind of introduce yourself and kind of the background and maybe what led you to these topics and to this interest.
And so I've been doing it now full time for about 2 years. And the way I got into it was actually experiencing trauma myself. And I was in a abusive marriage. It was mostly emotional, a little bit of physical and sexual abuse as well. And when I left that marriage, I ended up with PTSD, which actually, in the long run, when I looked at it all, it was complex PTSD. And then for about 3 to 4 years, I went on my own healing journey to try and understand what I was processing, because for me, my body's very sensitive to any type of synthetic drugs and stuff like that, so I had to say no to all that, and I went down the natural route. And what I found was that the things that I stumbled across and the things that I learnt how to release the trauma became so just amazing, with the way that it just shifted things without having to connect back into that actual pain point again. And this is why I teach it to others now, because I want people to experience a life without trauma. It doesn't matter the depth of it. It's just it's so powerful, the work that you can do without having to dive into the medication. I'm not saying the medication is the bad way to go. I'm just saying for me it was, and I couldn't do it. So now I teach others how to do it in a way where it's more, it's a natural process.
Right.
Yeah. So the way that there's all sorts of ways that it works. However, the way that I teach is through mindset, through body work, and then through energetic work as well. And when you've got your mind, body and soul encompassed in the whole lot, it allows the body and the mind and the soul to just release whatever's sitting there, so it's not ingrained in the body. Because what happens with trauma is that it is stored within a cellular memory, and because our body's trying to keep us safe, our minds are trying to keep us safe, it won't allow you to get past a certain point. And that's when you find that you just keep hitting
The stumbling block. Yeah.
a brick wall, and it just doesn't end.
I have to imagine too that having yourself gone through a trauma, that it's so much easier to relate to other people when you're working through a process and putting them through their situation, so that you can relate to them on a human level rather than just someone reading something from a medical book or a textbook. And just relating to someone on a human level, I think, is just so much more down to earth and kind of the old expression bedside manner when it comes to dealing with people. One question I did have for you, because of what we've gone through as a planet, community, in the last year and a half with COVID, have you really had to help a lot of people dealing with the trauma of, losing loved ones and dealing with medical issues on a grand scale?
Yeah, like there are a lot of people coming forward that are needing the help. It's not normally associated to a certain thing. It's what I'm finding is that with all the stuff that's been happening around the world, it's actually bringing it up to the surface even more so. And what's been laying dormant for a very long time is now being triggered to be looked at, because we've all been forced to be isolated or stay at home or can't do what we're used to doing. So what I find, and what I found as well, is that when you're dealing with trauma, you look to outside things that stop you from looking at yourself within. And what happens is that it becomes like a scapegoat. So like, oh, I'll just go and hang with my friends and do this, instead of truly looking at what is on the surface here, and I'm just going to push that down even more. So what happened with me is that because I kept pushing my emotions and feelings and everything else that was happening in the marriage down, it got to a point where it manifested as a physical illness, and then it carried on from that, and then it went emotional, and then it just, my whole world just turned upside down. And what I want to be able to tell people is, don't allow it to get to that point. Don't allow it to get to that breakdown point where you're absolutely at death bottom, pretty much. There were many times when I decided, well, I don't need to be here. And that's not what life's about, right? It's about joy, about fun, laughter, connection.
Right.
Yeah, so when you're in this dark space, you don't have that. And because all that was taken away from us, the connection, the joy, laughter, and everything that people used to know how to do it, and we've been presented in a way where it's like, this is the new way to do it now. So like how you and I are doing it, this is connection. And it takes a lot to grieve for something that you used to know. And by allowing yourself to process that grieving, it also allows the body to release and not.
In your experiences and helping people, how much of a roadblock, a stumbling block, like we were just talking about, does denial factor into it? Like people deny that they're going through it, or you were talking about deflection or diversion, but how much denial do people will say, well, I don't have a problem. I don't know why I'm not sleeping at night, or I don't know why I'm waking up crying at 6 p.m., but I'm fine. It's not me.
There's a lot. Yeah, it depends on the person, and the way I do my work is I would work with you when you're ready. I don't push that, because it's like that you can't push someone to change, right?
Right.
So there's no point in trying to push someone. However, I will present something that says, hey, look at this, and plant the seed for the future, and then you just allow that person to process however they want to process, and then they will come back to you or they won't, and that is totally fine. It's for me, it's all about teaching others about these different tools that you can use, so that you can process things yourself. Like, give them the knowledge to use themselves, rather than you being the guru and holding on to all that knowledge and just giving them like little snippets. Like that's not what it's about.
Have you? Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. What are you going to say?
No. Just.
Oh, have you been? I don't know. What the correct word would be, I guess, maybe wrangled into a situation by like a family member that's concerned for another family member that's going through a trauma or maybe PTSD, and the family member's concerned because it's turned this person. They're having mood swings or turning to drugs or alcohol, where you brought in on an intervention level because they just need to deal with their trauma, or is it more of like a medical intervention?
I wouldn't say it's anything like that at all, but I haven't experienced anything like that because that's not how I work. It's not the vibe that I put out there. If people want to work with me, then and if someone says, oh, I've got someone that wants to, like, this is what needs to happen, then I would go back to them and say, well, I need to speak to this person personally.
So it's got to be like a voluntary thing.
Yeah, and
to you on their own.
It becomes like
pushing them on.
Yeah, because then they're taking the ownership themselves, right?
Right.
And the way that I work is teaching the tools of how to get through trauma with empowerment, rather than saying, I will save you. Because at the end of the day, you can't save someone that is not wanting to be saved.
Right.
And it's the same with trauma. You can't help someone through trauma that doesn't want to look at it.
Tell me a little bit about the artwork that you've got going on in the background here and the symbolism. I was hoping that wasn't just a funky Zoom choice.
No. This was done by my good friend Effie. She's an amazing painter, and I talked to her about the mural because I wanted to have it as a backdrop for all my work that I do, because I'm a shamanic healer and an embodiment coach. And embodiment meaning I allow you to transmute trauma into freedom. So this was my activation pretty much for me, and to bring in the guides and the support that I need when I do my work. And one of them is me in my ancient Egyptian times, and the other one is a shamanic healer. And the symbolism in the middle is to do with balance and the Trinity, so mind, body, soul. And it's basically there to as an energetic support when I do my works. That's what it's about. It's interesting and it's different. It's not a typical
No, I mean, and that's
mural.
in my eyes. As I said, well, there's definitely on the sides there's definitely some mythological kind of creature elements, and that kind of stood out this way. And then I'm like, okay, there's some shapes going on in the middle, and I need those explained. So I'm glad that you did that. What was the impetus of that? Is that something that you use in therapy, in terms of showing it to someone and kind of as a symbol of what's going on, what the healing process is?
Yeah, because I like to, I'm a visual person, right? And I like to see things that activate my vision. Mm-hmm. And so this is why I had it done, because it's like, it's basically saying that this is me, this is who I am, this is my energy, and this is what I bring when I come forward, rather than just a blank wall.
Rather than just a triangle food thing or something, right? Well, office buildings. So do you operate out of an office or from home?
Yeah, I work from home.
Home office?
Yeah.
I have to assume the last 2 years that's been super convenient with Zoom.
I know. I know, like literally just like stepped into this just before COVID hit. And I was like, wow.
I mean, kudos. Not that we wanted some kind of horrible pandemic to happen, but talk about timing.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I literally packed up my whole life in New Zealand, moved to Australia at the end of January, and then COVID hit in March.
And where are you from originally?
New Zealand.
So it's a totally different country. What brought you to Australia?
I just had a really deep calling that I needed to go to a different land, and because of all the trauma that I experienced. And
I got you. It's a complete scenery change, environment change. I got you. I don't know if you know much about the United States, but I'm originally from Ohio, the Great Lakes basin, and then I moved to California. So
nice.
we really don't have seasons here. So
Is it just hot all the time?
Yeah, like right now, it's Sunday the 14th, and it's 3:20 my time. It's 90 degrees. Now, I guess depending on what part of Australia you're in, for this time of year, you guys generally have hotter weather. Is that true?
Yeah, we can get really hot here.
It's just
but also lots of
rain.
rain.
Mind around that it's like Christmas, and I think of snow and trees and Santa, and you guys are just in shorts and flip-flops and.
Yeah, honestly, I've always wanted to experience a white Christmas, but I've never experienced it.
You have to go to the mountain, right?
Yeah, but our winters are like mid-June, so yeah, like
where I'm from originally, they have 4 seasons, and they complain because it snows 5-6 months a year.
Whoa.
But now with global warming, maybe not as much. But yeah, I miss that. But you get what you pay for, right?
Yeah.
Something called me to California, and something called you to Australia. So did you have friends that were interested in similar background or something, or this was just you just throwing caution to the wind and saying, me myself, this is what I'm personally interested in, and I'm going to go for it?
It was a bit of both. I've got family here, and yeah, it was both. It was both that called me. I knew I was wanting to look and find a different place for me to settle in, because I just knew that I had to go into a different area so I wasn't constantly triggered by seeing different things around where I was living that reminded me of all the trauma that I had experienced. And it was like I was in a dark cave the whole time I stayed there, and then as soon as I left that area, everything changed.
Well, I can tell by talking to you and looking at you that you're kind of filled with light when you talk about this, and it's definitely something that you sunk your teeth into, and you're totally excited about it, and it's where you should be.
Yeah. No, I wanted to experience something new, and I've always wanted to try living in Australia, so this was my chance. I was like, I'll take it.
Walk me through how long the process does it take to become a therapist, in terms of, is it 4 years of college and then classes, and then you work with someone else for a while? What is the process of that to become?
I'm actually not a studied therapist. I literally teach from what I experienced.
That's great.
Yeah, I didn't go and do any study. I didn't do any of that. I literally just share my experiences of how I got through it. Just hoping that one person will see it and be like, well, that's what I can do. Yeah, and I've just taken it on because it's just it's so powerful, the process that I went through, and from what I've experienced, it's not something to hold within. That's why I like to just allow.
Well, and I said before too, it's so much of a comforting bedside manner rather than being in a aesthetic waiting room and people coming in with lab coats and clipboards and playing neck.
Yeah, because I didn't do any of that myself either. I got offered that
Oh,
type of counselling work from my doctor at the time, and I said no. Because for me, whenever I go into places like that, I automatically shut down.
Right, people's walls come up, they have their guard up, they anxious.
Yeah, and it's like, if I was speaking to the stranger, like the fear within me stopped me from doing a lot of things, because I used to think, well, if I'm speaking to this stranger, how do I know that my information is safe?
And to build the trust.
Yeah, and because I'd already had that trust with my parents, thank goodness they were there, like beside me the whole way. So I was lucky to have that. But yeah, I said no to all the conventional ways of how they normally deal with PTSD. I'm not saying it's the wrong way to go. For me, it was just no, I'm not doing it. Because I knew that it wouldn't help me evolve. I knew it would shut me down even more so. And I knew that at that point that I was at, that if I shut down even more, it's quite possible that I would have just gone, I'm done.
Yeah, and if a person has a bad experience with that, they're less likely to go out on a limb and try it with somebody else.
Yeah.
You know, also that factor of sometimes, especially older people, are really wary of going into a waiting room or an office that's not a doctor's or a dentist's office, and they're really wary of private questions and being poked and prodded. Yeah, there's the danger of just losing that person to opening up.
Exactly.
So tell me a little bit about the process. Let's say someone wants to reach out and had a family member, let's just get what we're going through, passed away with COVID, going through a trauma, and they talk to, they come across business, you can't see my hands, business, or site or something, and they think, I'm going to take a chance and either email or call. What are the steps? What happens next?
I just I connect with the person and ask them, what it is, what kind of support that they're looking for, because that's the biggest one to begin with. A lot of the time we'll just do it just talk, sit and talk. And because of the intentions and the energy that I bring to the space, I open it up and I hold a very safe space, so that when people want to speak, I just say, let's just talk.
Right.
And what happens is that they find that things start coming out of them that they didn't actually realise were sitting there, and then we can dive into it deeper once they've spoken everything that they need to get out. And it's literally just sitting and listening with nurturing energy, and that's how I do my work.
Right.
And then if I feel called, we'll take them through a shamanic journey, which is like drumming and sounds, so sound energy, and then we can talk about it afterwards. Like every step along the way, I'm literally holding that person's hand, saying, "Let's do this together." It's not all about, well, tell me what your symptoms are. Okay, well, this is what you need to do.
Right.
See you later. And then I'll give them tools to work through whatever it is that they need to work through. Yeah.
Okay. It sounds very similar to kind of what I do in the sense of an interview process. A lot of people will have a list of 10 questions or something. And me, I have one or two, I call them just icebreakers to kind of get conversations going. And like you're saying, pretty soon people are just really giving and taking in a conversation. And I always find that it's much better to have just an organic conversation because someone's going to freely give information about themselves rather than you just pulling it out of them and making them go, oh, I don't know if I'm ready to talk about that, or oh, what are you doing to me, lady? Like, what's going on?
Exactly.
So, have you had situations where someone has gone through something, let's just say, really horrific, let's say PTSD from war or a battle, or someone who was fighting in Afghanistan or something like that, and they're having night terrors, and they've had physical injury to themselves, and um, I imagine that something like that has got to be like a really prolonged process. Do you just kind of just, push your sleeves up and dig in, or is that something where you have to kind of be very gentle?
It depends on the person. Like some people they have that capacity to be able to just dig in and go, yeah, let power through it. Others, you've got to take a really soft, gentle way of doing it. And the only way I know how to do that is literally by connecting to my intuition and then connecting to them, the energy, and the magic unfolds. And every single process and every step along the way is exactly perfect for them the whole time. It's there's no like right or wrong way to do it. Right. Yeah, it's just it evolves naturally. Yeah.
Have you had any situations where a person has just become kind of unruly in the process and had to kind of either excuse yourself from their care, or maybe recommend a different therapist, to the point where you're saying, like, this is bigger than me, or this is beyond me, this person needs a different kind of help, after you kind of started with that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I don't try to take on everything myself, and if I feel that we're not a good fit to work with each other, then I will definitely say that and be like, well, I think you need actually this type of help, or like, it's sort of like, for me, it's all about understanding where they're at, and how they want to process through things, because I don't do conventional like methods. Mine are very different. They've either, for me, they have to be a full yes to work with me. If they're a maybe, then I'm like, well, I need you to go away and have a think about this, or that's it, we stop right now. And there are times when I've had to say, I think this is the end of our road together, because the type of work that I do, the longer we carry on working with each other, the deeper we go, and the deeper we go, and the deeper we go. If someone's not willing to go to the depth that I can see is available for them, then I have to honour that and say, okay, well, it's time for us to stop working with each other. And if you feel called to come back to me, then please do. Otherwise, I know some people that maybe have to help you with this, and this, and this. So it's more helping someone, giving them the tools, giving them the empowerment to actually take ownership of what they're going through, and standing up and saying, yes, I can get myself through this, rather than onto someone, right, and be like, help me, and then not understanding how to like do it themselves. And that's why it took me such a long time to get to the point where I am now, is because I literally did it on my own. I learned
there's a metaphor, I think maybe you've heard of it. They talk about, I've heard of that, the drowning man, where someone's flailing in the lake or the ocean, and they're flailing, and the lifeguard or whoever goes out to try to save them. But instead of using a free arm to help them together, the person just globs on its dead weight with the lifeguard, and then they both sink. Whereas they just kind of tuck an arm around a shoulder and they use the free arm to swim, and going, oh, with this help, I can do it. I can get back to the shore.
Yeah.
It's an old metaphor, isn't it?
That's pretty much exactly what I do. Yeah, helping them to get back to shore.
We all want the solid ground. So what would you say to someone who's maybe interested in getting into the field, whether younger or older, and want to reach out and help, but they're not sure in terms of how much learning in the field they need to do, rather than just being a friend, with being a shoulder to cry on, someone who is, a therapist.
Yeah, I understand that. It's more to do with yourself and how you're feeling. Like, do you feel within yourself that you can be a coach or a healer or however you want to call yourself for someone else, rather than just being the shoulder to cry on all the time? Because it's interesting, before I went through all this trauma, I was that person. I constantly had friends knocking on my door. I was constantly the one that they would come to for advice. It was naturally there for me the whole time, and I've just taken it and gone with it this time. And if you feel really called to study, then definitely go do it. It's finding that light within you and just going, oh my God, yes, this is exactly what I want to do. This makes me excited. This fires me up. I'm keen. I'm ready. I'm all in. Like, when you got that energy about that, then go for it. If you're still a little bit like, oh, I don't know, then it's not for you. So
that leads me to the next question, because your face kind of told me a few things, and you brought up a little bit, which was before you started doing this professionally. Were there times when you were at, I don't know, friends' birthdays, weddings, anniversaries, barbecue, people would come up and they say, Monique, you gotta help. Like, I have this thing, and oh my God, and then this guy, and then argues with this girl, and it's like, what do I do? And it's like, at a certain point, when do you just have to put up the hands and say, like, you're just there to enjoy the barbecue. You're with a good friend, but also you do it for a living. At a certain point, 5 o'clock, or whenever you're done for the day, when do you kind of push back from the desk and get up and say, it's my time to just be me and go and run my errands and do the things, whether you're out at, like I say, at a cookout or something, 4 people come to you and you're just sort of like, oh. Does that happen?
Yeah, it does, and you've got to have really strong boundaries. When you do this type of work, you've got to be really, really strong within yourself and with your boundaries as well. So you literally just say to them, look,
because I figure on a certain level it's rude with your friends, because you can't help even one of them, like, off the clock, so to speak, because then someone's going to come around the corner and go, well, you helped so-and-so, you said you wouldn't, so you have to help me, because it's probably never ending, right?
Yeah, I don't have people like that in my life that do that to me.
Good.
Because of my intentions of what I will and will not tolerate. And I'm very clear with what I won't tolerate from people.
Right.
Yeah.
On the most part, people are very caring and understanding. but there are people out there that they will just run over you and take. So I'm glad that you kind of got some walls since going like, I'm sorry, office hours are closed.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to
Oh,
do it
totally.
yourself and live.
Yeah, well, it's taken a long time for me to understand what my boundaries are, and it's by doing the work that I'm doing that I've understood myself more. If, say, 2 years ago, I definitely didn't have the same boundaries as what I've got now. I would still like try and be the nice person to fix it, and then wonder why
It's being what
I
I
was
call
exhausted.
polite but firm.
Yeah, exactly
Like,
that.
thank you, but no thank you.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
So with learning anything, there has to have been a few instances, and you don't have to give specifics, but where you learn to do certain things or dealing with people by what not to do, by what others have shown you or told you or you've witnessed. So, was there a bit in your learning process when you went, not going to do that, not
Oh
going
yeah, all the time.
to, yeah,
All the time. It's never ending. Like I'm constantly learning myself, and then I'm like, oh, okay.
yeah.
So like,
Now, what that lady did over there, I'm not going to do that.
if something happens that like makes me question about what is actually unfolding here, then I take note of it, and I don't see it as in, oh, they're lashing out at me. I see it as in, okay, what's the lesson here? What is it reflecting that I need to see within myself? And then I look into, okay, what is it that's sitting within me that's making me feel uncomfortable? And then literally, like, I will write about it, like journal about it, get the emotion out of my body. And then you find that once you pinpoint it, you're not triggered or upset or anything by that anymore. So it happens constantly.
Well, it just happens in life in general, I think, I mean, sometimes somebody goes bonkers at a grocery store because they elbow a pack of something at the checkout stand and they're like, "Ah!" And they're just like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Just try to be frustrated. Just set your basket down, and someone will probably come up and rebuild the display of cans or something. But one thing that I thought years ago through improvisation at a school called Second City, it's a technique called yes. And I figure probably use a variation of it when dealing with different patients as in terms of like an icebreaker. Even if this person is a grouch or totally confrontational, and they're giving you like a whole barrage of words and subjects, there only has to be like that one little kernel of information that in the middle of the barrage of whatever they're spewing that you go, take that, and you can say, I agree with you, and I'm going to add on or piggyback onto what you say. And sometimes people are taken aback and they go, oh, will you agree with me? Oh, well, let's start here. This little thing. Let's kind of weave something along with that. And if it goes down a path that goes nowhere, fine. But it's a trust path, And if they're willing to go down that trust path with you, it could be a dead end. They're more likely to go down another path after that, I think.
Yeah. Like for me, it's all about feeling safe. And once they've got that safe container feeling, it's like it literally just the safeness comes around you.
I feel like you're molding like the movie Ghost.
Yeah.
So what are some icebreakers that you use in the getting to know you phase with the patient? Because as you said, it's all about trust, and they're nervous as hell, and they're anxious, and they may be apathetic to what you do. So what are some things that you open up? Do you open up yourself?
Literally,
And
yeah, just say, well, I'll just like, well, tell me about yourself, and yeah, I want to
do you
know
just
more about
offer them
you.
coffee and say, like, let's start here?
Yeah, like I do say to them, get a drink and let's just chill. We'll have a conversation. If I can tell that they feel nervous about opening up to me, then I just say, tell me about your day. What you been doing?
Okay.
Like,
I didn't know if
get me
there
out of
were
there.
maybe some tactics or, difficult situations you had to work through, let's say with minors, with children, where they're probably extremely uncomfortable with their parents sitting right next to them in the room. So by law, it's kind of, well, sometimes you have to be there. Sometimes it's a thing where, parents are speaking up and the child is very, codependent. But have you had any experience with children with trauma?
No,
No.
not yet. No, not yet. Most of my clients that come to me are actual sexual trauma victims,
Okay.
and it's interesting. You find the different who you attract at the time. At the moment, it's all about sexual trauma.
But I also imagine a situation too where they'll tell someone else, someone else will tell someone else, and that's how they get your number or
Yeah,
your email or your information because someone else had a good experience with you
yeah.
and they're passing it on. Have you dealt with elderly people that have had like long-term trauma?
No, I haven't had any elderly yet. I have a feeling there will be some. I do live in an area where there's lots of retirement villages, so once the communities that can open up again, we can go out and connect with people. That's one of my intentions or goals to do, is to connect with the elderly community here and help them through whatever it is. So that's on like the back burner right now because there's not much you can do. You can't leave the house.
You just turned yourself into like what's her name? Ariana Grande. Thank you. Next. So building on what you've started and worked through in the last couple of years, where would you like your business, I guess, to grow? Do you see yourself only working out of the home? Do you eventually want to have an office that looks like your living room?
I've already got an office set up at home, so I love working from home. I want to, like, my mission is to reach millions of people, and it doesn't matter what avenue I do it through, as long as I know that I am doing the right thing by teaching others the tools to empower themselves through trauma and to be completely free from it. Because I can say now, I do not have any triggers, I don't have any trauma left within my body, I've got nothing. And the freedom that you feel with that is, it is just amazing, absolutely amazing. This is what I want others to feel as well. So wherever it takes me, I don't have like a set plan.
Mm-hmm.
I've got an understanding of what I want to bring through, and then everything else I just trust how it's going to unfold.
Take it as it comes.
Like, it has to be done like this, because then if I do that,
Sure,
I'm
you
like,
shake your fist when you talk to people.
Don't. No.
I won't drink your tea, I swear. Whatever you want, lady. So, we've talked about that. So you're talking about where it could take you, but where is it already taking you in terms of, we talked about kind of like the backyard barbecue situation, but where do you draw the line with, I don't know if specifically your office hours are Monday through Friday, but do you tell your clients like, I'm going to be hiking on a mountain for a week and I'll have no service, and
Yeah.
emergencies come up, I mean, they can reach 911 or whatever the version of that is in Australia, but do you leave yourself open to having your dinner on if you're out doing things on the weekend?
It depends on the level of support I'm giving to the client. If they're the type that they know that once we've had the session, that's it, or if they're the client that is needing the support 24/7, then I will say, this is what I can do, and I will reply back to you when I can. In emergencies, this is what you need to do, and that's how you have that clear boundary line. Communication is the boundary.
Right.
Clear communication.
I mean, I think that there's that weird fuzzy line between patient and therapist where sometimes people will go across the line as a patient and they get into what they see as friend territory, and then they get uppity and say like, oh well, I tried to do and I couldn't, so I shaved my head and decided to cut one of the pant legs off all my pants or something.
Yeah.
So the way it's like you saw them on a Thursday or Friday and then you see them on a Monday or Tuesday and you're going, oh, okay, there's some changes, some interesting things you decided to do. I don't know how else you can really buffer as the therapist versus patient, where there's got to be not a hard line, but they will go across the line. So,
yeah, exactly.
have you witnessed that before, where they try to take it more into the Florence Nightingale kind of thing, where they try to be more than just a patient and they become very codependent?
Yeah.
So are there steps? Are there, I don't know, red flags or something?
When I first experienced it, I was like, oh, okay, hang on a minute, this is not right. And I literally just said, look, I'm busy. This is, and just reaffirm, this is when our next call is. If there's anything that you need to speak about, then we'll speak about it then. If it's emergency, then please let me know. Like, I would answer emergency calls.
Right.
I would say to them that it was to let me know what it is by the words that you use. So if they said to me, help, I knew that's emergency, or I need your help or something like that, I would call them. So I would put it in a way where I say, I will call you, and that takes that whole thing out where they just,
because I can't imagine being somewhere, a supermarket, you run into this person and they're saying, hi, let me tell you everything that's been going on in my life since I saw you 4 days ago, and you have to be polite, but it's also not a session.
yeah.
It's not an appointed session with you, so you just kind of
same thing.
Firmly,
Yeah,
so sorry, but we'll save this for the session.
Yeah, well, we're like slowly starting to move into a session here.
You're not just like this. Huh? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna.
I'm out.
Or you're just. I'm like, do that whole thing with Austin Powers walking down the stairs.
Yeah, that's
So, what about advice you might have for children that have feel like they've got some things going on or things like that? Is there any advice you can tell them in terms of process of is the first step maybe to like a school guidance counselor?
yeah. Go to someone that they feel safe with, and that they know that they trust. That's the biggest point. Like with anyone, regardless if you're children or adult, if you feel safe with them and you trust them, and then let them know what you're experiencing, and hopefully the person that you're talking to will take the next step into, okay, this is what we need to do.
Okay.
In that regards.
I think it's a mistake that a lot of kids make because they're so anxious and rushed to go to classes, go to after school activities, to cram their lunch in their face and to do all this stuff. They think that the only person they can talk to are their classmates. But the problem with even your best friend classmates, if you're in elementary or middle school, is it's so much easier to go, and then
yeah.
And that's how rumors get started,
Yeah.
get hurt, I just wish that more kids would realize that or know that, but I think that that's just the culture. The culture is you tell everything to your friends, so.
Yeah, and it's the way that we've been brought up as well, and that's when I say it's on us, the older generation, or the adults, or the parents, to teach your children a different way on how to process things, how to give themselves the space, the quiet space that's needed to access these hidden emotions or access what's sitting within them, rather than filling yourself up with just stuff to avoid what it is that is sitting there. If it's really, really like trauma, then I suggest definitely going to like the school counsellor or someone that is specialised in that area to help you transition through it the right way, because as you know, your peers and all that don't normally understand that if they haven't gone through it themselves. And same with adults. If they haven't experienced what you've experienced, then they can't give you the advice that you're looking for. So go to the people that know what they're doing, basically.
Right. That's the important thing. And before we wrap it up here, this hour's flown by. Oh my gosh!
Wow.
Is that you go ahead and tell the folks that are watching kind of where they can find your work or how they can reach out to you and your websites. I don't know if you have a presence on YouTube or anything like that.
I don't have anything on YouTube at the moment. I'm mostly hanging out on Instagram and Facebook. However, I do have a website, and I put a lot of information up on there as well. And it's my full name.com. So Monique Vette. It's a V for Victor. ETTE.com.
Do you have any copies of books or pamphlets or anything that you want to hold up on you?
I don't have any yet. They're on their way.
Imagine if you will. Holding it up. I tried. I mean, your mural on your background says enough, I think, right there, that people are going to be drawn to that. So,
I've got a few books in the waiting, so they're coming.
Nice. Well, congratulations on everything you've been able to accomplish. Thank you so much for speaking with us today and getting, positive reinforcement word out there, letting people know that there's another safe place that they can go. You do have a great calm demeanor, so it was great to talk to you today. I'm so glad you have a sense of humor.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You have to, because sometimes people are just like this. And I'm like, This
Uh-oh.
is going to end. So thank you so much. And I believe you're already into your Monday morning there. So
Yeah, yeah.
enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll go wash some clothes Sunday. So, all right. Well, you
Thank you.
have a great week. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.